Wow, here we are again at another Aerospike User Summit. We are thrilled to have you with us again this year. My name is Bill O'Dell. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer here at Aerospike, and I will be your host. We have representatives from companies across the globe here with us. Specifically, we have representatives from over 40 countries, more than we've ever had in the past. But wherever you are welcome with us. And to accommodate your respective time zone, the entire session is being recorded and will be made available on demand. So wherever you are around the world, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. We're delighted to have you with us this year. Now, this is a very technical audience, no surprises, but we have representatives from a variety of different companies across a variety of different industries. And that's important because that will allow each and every one of you to find somebody like yourself at a company like yours and get to know each other. This event is not all about Aerospike. In fact, it's more so about you and your peer group. So please reach out to one another and learn from each other the projects you're working on and how you can advance those projects to be as successful as they can for your companies. Now, we have an amazing lineup of keynote speakers at the beginning of each and every day. In a moment, I will introduce you to this morning's keynotes. But to suffice it to say, you're going to hear from Aerospike's executive leadership team. In addition to that, you will be listening to some of our foremost customers, those who are truly building some of the world's most innovative digital platforms for real-time businesses. So please make sure that you attend our keynote sessions this year. Beyond that, we have a variety of different customers and partners speaking this year. Each one of them have opened up their company's stories for you. They will be sharing how they are building a real-time data architecture on top of Aerospike to power their digital initiatives. Please make sure that you attend our customer sessions and our partner sessions. I am sure you will take something back with you for your respective companies. Now, each and every year, we get a lot of inbound requests for technical training and sessions. We compile all of that, and in front of you, you will see the technical training sessions and workshops that we have at this year's summit. These are here for you, or for your benefit, to learn how to build and develop on top of the Aerospike data platform. So take advantage of all of these sessions. I am sure they will help you with your projects. Now, an event like this would not be possible if it weren't for the generosity and support of our sponsors. I want to make a special thank you for our gold sponsors this year, HPE, Intel, and Western Digital. Please make sure you attend their sessions as they will share with you how they are building architectures to support your real-time business initiatives. They each have prepared some wonderful sessions. Make sure that you attend those. But in addition, we have a number of other sponsors. You can see their names on the screen in front of you, and we will make time during the sessions. We'll have breaks, and if you can't make a session, please stop by because each one of them have materials available to you to help you with your initiatives and your projects. So please spend some time with our sponsors over the next few days. Now, I want to make a request to each and every one of you. If you haven't set up a profile yet on the platform, please take a few minutes to do so. Doing this will allow you to network within the platform and get to know one another. If you create a platform about yourself, your background, your role, your company, your projects, it will allow others to reach out to you and ask questions of you. And likewise, it'll make it easy for you to reach out to others here and ask questions of them. So please take a moment if you have not already and set up your personal profile in the platform that you are on right now. Now, mark your calendars for a couple of special events we have at the end of day 1 and at the end of day 2. At the end of day 1, we have a session called May the 4th Be With You. That's a play on some of the popular Star Wars movies that we each have grown up enjoying over the years. But most importantly, at that session, you'll get a chance to meet and speak with the engineers behind the Aerospike data platform. So mark your calendars. We'll also be giving away some fun prizes. So if you attend, you have a chance to win a prize. On day 2, we're going to have some fun with a world-renowned chef. His name is Fabio Viviani. He actually beat Bobby Flay, if you know who that is. He is an award-winning chef, and he's gonna share with us a special meal he's gonna cook in honor of Cinco de Mayo. So make sure you mark your calendar to attend our special meetup session on the bottom of day 2, May 5th. Now, if you share some of the fun and some of the things you're learning here at Summit over the next few days on social media, we're willing to give you some prizes to thank you for doing so. You can see in front of you, we'll be giving away the ever popular Aerospike rocket. It is simply the most coveted prize every time we do an event such as this. So if you use the hashtags in front of you to share some of the fun, take a picture, some of the things you've learned, please go ahead and do that, and we'll reward you with some special prizes. Now, without further ado, I want to introduce you to our opening keynote session delivered by John Dillon, Aerospike CEO. Many of you know John. He is a technology industry veteran. He has been part of digital transformation for many, many years at companies such as Oracle, Salesforce.com, Arbor Software, and others. He is a contributor to the Forbes Technology Council, and he is with us here today to talk about real-time reimagined. Thank you for joining us. Take it away, John.
Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. Thank you so much for joining us. Let me add my welcome to the event. I think it's going to be a wonderful set of presentations. I think the agenda is excellent. And again, I'd like to add my welcome. So thank you for joining. As you can see, the title of the talk is Reimagine Real Time. And I thought I'd give some thought to real time. Real time is almost the speed of light, but not quite. And as we accelerate in this digital age, we're getting closer and closer to the speed of light, but there's certain laws of physics that are immutable. I thought I'd share with you a bit of humor from a woman that has such an important place in the history of our industry. Her name is Admiral Grace Hopper. I think she joined the Navy at 39. There's a building named for her at the United States Naval Academy for Cyber Studies. There's a destroyer named after her. And she was a pioneer early on in our industry. She gave rise to the term bug. She coined that term because of a moth and a Mark II compute system between the circuits. And she's also the woman who created COBOL, Common Business-Oriented Language, sort of the first language that allowed you to write in English and have the interpreter commute that data or those words into computer-generated language such that the programmer could speak in English and the computer could understand in computer. So she's got a few thoughts on time and nanoseconds, and I thought I would share this with you. She gave this talk, I think in the 80s at MIT. It's a little grainy, but I think you'll get the gist. Enjoy.
They started talking about circuits that acted in nanoseconds, billionths of a second. Oh, I didn't know what a billion was. I don't think most of those men downtown know what a billion is either. And if you don't know what a billion is, how on earth do you know what a billionth is? I fussed and fumed. Finally, one morning, in total desperation, I called over to the engineering building, and I said, please cut off a nanosecond and send it over to me. And I brought you some today. Now, what I wanted when I asked for a nanosecond was, I wanted a piece of wire which would represent the maximum distance that electricity could travel in a billionth of a second. Now, of course, it wouldn't really be through wire. It'd be out in space, velocity of light. So if you start with the velocity of light and use your friendly computer, you'll discover that a nanosecond is 11.8 inches long. The maximum limiting distance that electricity can travel in a billionth of a second. Finally, at the end of about a week, I called back and said, I need something to compare this to. Could I please have a microsecond? I've only got one microsecond, so I can't give you each one. Here's a microsecond. 984 feet. I sometimes think we ought to hang one over every programmer's desk or around their neck so they know what they're throwing away when they throw away microseconds. Now, I hope you'll all get your nanoseconds. They're absolutely marvelous for explaining to wives and husbands and children and admirals and generals and people like that. An admiral wanted to know why it took so damn long to send a message via satellite. And I had to point out that between here and the satellite, there were a very large number of nanoseconds. You can explain these things. It's really very helpful, so be sure to get your nanoseconds.
So as she makes fun of nanoseconds being 11.8 inches long, we also have microseconds and we have milliseconds. And they all matter as we try to engage with our audiences, our constituencies relative to with computers and all that. You know, the time it takes to transact, the time it takes to wait for something to happen, all those things matter. All those things affect our brand. But in essence, what we're trying to do is what I would call real-time decisioning. In other words, we're using computers to make a decision in real time. And that's not something that's new. We've had business intelligence, DSS, decision support systems, data warehousing, data mining, analytics, CEP, complex event processing, EIS, executive information systems. We've had these things for decades, as long as we've had computers and data, which has been decades. The reality is most of these systems involve a human. A human is involved. The human sits at a terminal. A human might use a spreadsheet, glean some information, and then ultimately come to a decision about some action that ought to be taken. Today, the human is gone, replaced by robots, or better said, computers that are operating at lightning speed and can do so much so quickly. If you think about the scale, we've got ingestion to manage, huge volumes of data, more data than anybody ever anticipated. We do stream analytics, which is essentially complex event processing, where in a moment, you take a snapshot of what's in the stream and use that data to try to make a decision that's relevant and current in the moment. We also have machine learning and AI, building models, maybe from a data lake or from other stored set of data, and then pushing those in real time, right to the front lines where they can be put in place in a matter of moments or minutes, so we can capture a change in the persona that's showing up on our website. And then finally, real-time inference. Inference is just another way of inferring something from data. And real-time is really important, because if you are a website on the edge and you're trying to decide, what do I do in the next second? That's what matters. So all of these things are happening at huge scale as we transform through what we are calling the digital transformation. So in essence, though, what are we trying to do? We're trying to make better decisions, and we're trying to make them in real time, right? No rocket science there, but real time is very, very different today than it was. I mean, we used to have batch intelligence. We could have a project where we wanted to find fraud. So we'd go to the Department of Treasury in the United States and we say, I want all the wire transfer data for the last 10 years. And then we could write a machine learning or a data mining application to look for patterns to see what might look like money laundering. And if it did, we could turn the FBI onto them, we could find terrorists, we could find drug runners, those sorts of things. You could also do the same thing with a cold case, DNA, for example, from a murder 25 years ago. You could take that DNA out, you could process it through something like 23andMe, you'd find all the relatives of the perpetrator, and then you could find the relatives, you could go see them, you could get more information about them, you could find his or her relatives as well, and then ultimately do some dumpster diving behind the individual's house, find a strand of hair, check that DNA, and if it's a match, you've got your candidate. That might take 2 or 3 years, but it's business intelligence and it's using computers, but it's batch. It is slow. It is not in the moment. It is not real time. So that's the transitional thing that we're dealing with right now. And this is the battleground. This is the battleground. Now, all of us, like humans, we make decisions every day. You go to Starbucks. Do I want a latte or do I want an Americano? You decide. It takes you 30 seconds, maybe 10 seconds. Maybe you're in the mood for one or the other. Very easy. But if you're buying a new car, you might do a little research. You might download consumer reports and look at the ratings of the different vehicles. You might go out for a test drive. You might search online and find out the pluses and the minuses, customer satisfaction, read the reviews. You're gathering information with the hopes of being able to make a good decision. So this is what's called decision-making under conditions of uncertainty, because you will never have 100% of all the information you need to make a perfect decision. And that old expression, perfect sometimes is the enemy of good. Good decisions are great. Now, in computers these days, we have to make a lot of good decisions. Making bad decisions is not good, but hunt for the perfect decision, that's tough. And this making decisions under conditions of uncertainty is a reality with humans. Let me tell you, it is also a reality with computer systems. In short, if you look at this simplistic diagram, there's data coming in to an inference engine. An inference engine is a decisioning engine. And Gartner talked about these things as being algorithmic decisioning engines, being the future. Whether it's algorithmic, rules-based, or whatever, the reality is this engine has to decide in a moment what is the next best action. But there's challenges here. There's a lot going on. If you take a look at this diagram, right now, you've got an ingestion problem. Are you getting multiple streams of data? Where are you getting them from? What level of data is coming in? And to add to that, and not included in this slide, if you're doing stream analysis, stream analytics, then you might actually want to look at snippets of the data coming in and decide, is there something in that snippet I should worry about or I should factor into the decision I'm about to make? And then, making it more complicated, you need a very large contextual data platform. Could be terabytes, could be petabytes, where the more information that's available when making a decision, if you can harness that data, that makes it likely that you're going to get a better decision in the moment. And then finally, and this is really kind of the tricky thing, it's an area where Aerospike plays well. And so normally there's an SLA, a service level agreement, whether it's internal or whether it's external with a customer. It's like, how much time does this inference engine have to decide what to do next, what to do in a moment? And oftentimes in the counts and the clients that we have, it's often maybe 500 milliseconds, a half a second. And by the way, for those of you who don't really track this stuff, an eye blink can be from 100 milliseconds to 400 milliseconds. So we're talking about an eye blink or two, and that is the SLA. And within that eye blink, how much information can the inference engine extract from the underlying database? And that is going to limit how much knowledge the decisioning engine has. So it's just like with a human, it's decision-making under conditions of uncertainty. But the more data that's available in that window, the better and more likely it's a good decision. We have clients that sometimes with an individual business transaction coming in from a cell phone or telematic device might do 100, 200, or even 300 databases, reads and writes. Capturing data, deciding what to do, recording that, that is a lot of work in 200 or 300 milliseconds. And so those three components, the ingestion, the size of the underlying data store, and the SLA window all matter when it comes to real-time systems of engagement and edge systems. So why do people care? Well, these are just some simple examples: ad serving, payment gateways, gaming, online brokerage, logistics. When's the truck driver going to show up? ATP, available to promise. If you've got warehouses all over the United States and people are buying and taking things out of warehouses because they're being shipped, all of a sudden your available to promise is going to change literally every second. And if you're online shopping as a consumer and you're just about to click, say, buy me that thing, and all of a sudden it's gone, that's an issue. So there's a good example. We do some health monitoring where you've got somebody wearing a diabetes device, it's talking to its phone and it's talking upline to a cloud, deciding when it's time to inject more insulin into the individual. That's a real-time application that hundreds of thousands of people use. Gaming, I already mentioned that. In short, it's what is the next best action? And you've got to do it in the moment. You can't take 10 seconds, you can't take 20 seconds, you can't take an hour. It just doesn't work. This is the new battlefield. This is where the winners and losers are going to win and lose. This is where top line is going to be improved, bottom line is going to be improved, brand equity is going to be developed. This is where customer satisfaction is going to be developed. And frankly, all of us humans, we don't discriminate between which websites we use and don't use with our smartphones. If we've got one that we like and we got another one, even if they're different industry, and we don't like the experience, we will quickly delete that app from our smartphone. So this is what we are all about at Aerospike. If you think about the original ideation of the company, it was to build a database that could be wirelines fast on a piece of machinery. And you want it to avoid all the collisions. You want it to avoid all the hiccups and all the different overheads that are associated with the server. And that was the idea. So we started there, and we can do it. We can fundamentally give our clients the ability to act in real time, at scale, petabytes, all the time, 5 nines, and do it accurately, globally, and with consistent data. And sometimes more importantly, we can reduce the footprint, the server footprint in the data center. Typically, we can reduce the server load in a data center by 80%. It's really quite simple. And we believe the future is this real-time engagement. And it comes across with this broad spectrum of requirements. And this is sort of where we, Aerospike, live. So let me share a few things. We've done a 12 terabyte ingestion benchmark with HPE, 12 terabytes per second ingestion. We can do that. We can do more, but that was the benchmark. We've done a 15 million transaction per second benchmark with Intel using PMEM and ADQ on a single server. 15 million transactions per second, all of them executing and completing in less than 1 millisecond. And just announced, we've completed with Amazon Web Services and Intel a 1 petabyte scale benchmark using only 20 nodes, only a petabyte of data. And we delivered in read-only 5 million transactions per second, completing in under 1 millisecond each. And when we put a 80-20 read-write load on it, the benchmark ended up with about 3.6 million transactions per second, 99% completing in less than 1 millisecond. These are the tools that can be deployed to deliver real-time decisioning systems for inference engines at the edge. That's who we are, and that's where we're going to continue our focus. We believe that this is the future and this is the battleground. So we've already delivered millions of transactions per second. We've got clients that are running petabyte databases in production. We have clients using Graph built on Aerospike, and we have clients that are using streaming analytics and doing that built on Aerospike as well. So it's all the ability to act in real time, at scale, all the time, means it's reliable, and reducing the server footprint in the data center, which saves an enormous amount of money and makes the burden on the IT ops individuals much, much, much lower and takes a lot of risk out of the equation. And you can also grow your business because we give you headroom. In essence, Aerospike is the real-time data platform. That's who we are, and that's who we will continue to be. But as well, our vision extends beyond just the performance in and of itself. We're committed to reducing friction for our clients at every point where it might exist, whether it's during adoption, development, deployment, migration. It could be support, training, it could be production. Essentially, the entire journey end to end. We are making back office investments. We're making other commitments internally. Many of these things you won't see, but in essence, we want to mitigate potential risk, and we want to accelerate our clients' opportunity to get to success. So it ends up being a shared experience, a shared purpose experience where we can't be successful unless you're successful. We want to be there for you. In essence, we've got your back. You can count on us, and we're going to continue the focus to deliver real-time systems that scale economically and can deliver the outcomes that so many of you are here to talk about and discuss. Thank you very much. Enjoy the event. I think it's going to be really worthwhile, and we appreciate your attendance.